Guys, it's over. It's actually over. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's done! It's actually done! The Divan's alloy is the rarest and most valuable single item I have ever acquired in Hypixel Skyblock. I am genuinely so happy. It is worth 1.5 billion coins on the free market, which is obscenely expensive. To put this into perspective, the average player can consistently make 20 million coins per hour with a decent setup. That values this particular item at 75 hours of tedious, consistent effort. Unfortunately for me, thanks to a skill issue early on in my Hypixel experience, I play a game mode known as Iron Man. And the defining feature of this is that I cannot purchase from or trade with any other players. Left with only one option, I began researching how to obtain this obscenely rare item where any reasonable player would. I searched it up on the Hypixel wiki. To obtain a Divan's alloy, a player must obtain 5 unique crystals, each with their own mini quest, and then place those crystals in the Crystal Nucleus to generate a loot bundle. One of the potential rewards for this loot bundle is the Divan's alloy, although it is exceedingly rare, causing most players to attempt around 1,000 runs to acquire it. I'm friends with one streamer, Merc, who dropped it on his first ever run. So it is possible, but honestly, I wouldn't believe that if I didn't see the clip myself.
No fucking way. No fucking way. My first literal one.
So the next question that I arrived at was how exceedingly rare was this item, and what could I do to maximize my chances? Too long don't read for the next 60 seconds is don't trust the wiki. At the time, according to the wiki, the drop chance for the Divan's alloy was increased the longer it had been since a player dropped one. Specifically, it had a 1 in 800,000 chance in hour 1, a 1 in 80,000 chance in hour 2, and a 1 in 8,000 chance from hour 3 onwards. Each individual attempt at generating a Divan's alloy takes about 10 minutes of applied effort, including preparation time. So, the general advice from the community was to monitor how recently an alloy had been dropped through a mod called Coal Wait, and only attempt to generate the alloy if the timer was greater than 2 hours. Several times, I was in the middle of runs and the timer reset, ruining my perceived chances of obtaining this item. This was a constant annoyance as it takes 15 to 20 minutes to find and set up a lobby before even doing a single run, wasting a lot of time on an already extremely tedious grind. Oh well, that's it. That's it. No more alloys. Near the end of my Nucleus run experience, Duralius posted a series of videos that utilized statistics to effectively prove that the timer was bugged or at the very least non-functional. I don't understand the math myself, but you can view those videos on Duralius' channel. Following this, the admins investigated the mechanics of the alloy's drop chance and altered it to a fixed value, roughly equating to 1 in 1,000 chance per run, removing the time factor and making everyone's lives simpler. They also added an RNG meter so you can guarantee an alloy after 1,000 runs if you don't drop it earlier. I obtained the alloy before this update occurred, so I did not benefit from this change, but you can enjoy it, so I figured it's worth mentioning. At this point, we should talk about the elephant in the room. To get an alloy, you need to complete a Nucleus run. But what does that mean exactly? Well, as I mentioned, you have 5 crystals: Jade, Amber, Amethyst, Sapphire, and Topaz. Each of them spawns in a structure in the Crystal Hollows Island, and a player must complete a task each time they collect each crystal. The good news is that for most crystals, you can prepare items and pathways to minimize downtime when you actually get to running the Crystal Nucleus. In the interest of being thorough, I'll take you through the mechanics of each crystal and then do a complete preparation task list for an entire run, including ways to accomplish tasks faster, using cheeses or bugs that the admins seem to have left in intentionally. First, the Jade Crystal. In the Mithril deposits, a structure called the Mines of Divan spawns with a bunch of gold and 4 keepers. Speak to any of those 4 keepers and you will receive a metal detector. When you hold this item, it will tell you the distance between you and the treasure chest. With a bit of trial and error in terms of direction, you can find the chest. It spawns once you get within 10 blocks. Each chest has a 25% chance of containing a tool. Once you have all 4 unique tools in your inventory, you can right-click each of the 4 keepers and collect the Jade Crystal in the center of the map. I highly recommend using a mole pet to improve the drop chance by 25% for all tools, and for mods, use Colweight or NEU's Pathing Solver, and that'll make the process of finding these chests at least 5 times faster. Secondly, the Amber Crystal. In the Goblin Holdout, 2 structures spawn of note. The first being the Goblin King, the second the Goblin Queen's Den. You must first visit the King. You can locate him with the Wishing Compass. Talk to him with a Goblin Egg, and he will consume them in return for giving the King's Scent effect. This effect allows you to locate the Queen's Den with the Wishing Compass, and enter the Queen's structure to obtain the crystal. If you submerge in water, it will wash off. And, as of the recent update, the effect also expires as soon as you obtain the Amber Crystal, meaning that you need to revisit the King each run. Thirdly, the Sapphire Crystal. Perhaps the most simple, you must provide a precursor apparatus to Professor Robot in the Lost Precursor City. This can be crafted by combining all 6 unique robot parts. On a normal profile, you should buy these off the bazaar. Or alternatively, for Iron Man players, the 2 options are powder chests or killing automatons. Powder chests is really only reasonable past Heart of Mountain 6, as you access the Great Explorer perk, which spawns chests significantly faster and allows you to instantly open them. I do not recommend this unless you also need gemstone powder, as it is much slower for automaton parts than the alternative. When grinding automatons, here is a simple route within the Lost Precursor City you can use to efficiently teleport between spawns. The ideal setup is maximum magic find with a mole pet for additional drop chance. In the absence of this pet, any magic find pet with a dataless axe will work, such as a golden dragon pet or even a black cat pet. Using a shortbow, such as the dragon shortbow, the Juju, or the Terminator, will also help as you can get ranged kills, increasing your chance of getting more parts. If you're not interested in the Automaton route, feel free to skip to 8 minutes. Here's a few things I learned to make this easier. It's worth noting that every lobby is unique. Some spawns will be exact, some spawns will be slightly different. The more rounds you do in a particular lobby, the more familiar you will become with the exact location of the automaton spawns. For example, this lobby didn't spawn there, but it should have. Secondly, sometimes the spawn bugs will reset the cooldown, so if you do end up missing 1 or 2 spawns per round, that's totally fine, it'll respawn in time for the next round. I tried to avoid teleporting as much as I could while recording so you can see the path without much mana usage, but it is much more efficient to use Ether Warp, especially across those longer distances when you're TPing all the way up or TPing across the map. Lastly, I do not recommend doing the automaton grinding in F5 mode as I have. I just did that because I thought it was an easier view for you guys to see and understand the route itself, but when I was actually doing this, I would definitely be doing it in just normal first-person view. We're almost at the end now. There's just a few more automatons you can pick up, and then you drop down, and we are right back at the beginning where we started. That's the route. The 4th crystal is Amethyst, and this is probably the most complicated of them all. The game design involves you entering the jungle temple by donating a jungle key at the door. You then complete roughly a minute of parkour, and assuming you succeed, you are then rewarded with the Amethyst Crystal. Jungle keys can be looted from a Key Guardian, which has a random structure in the jungle, and the mob will respawn roughly every 2 minutes. With a looting 5 sword, you should average 1.75 keys per kill. In the downtime between spawns, I recommend powder mining for sludge juice with a jungle pickaxe, because you can later spend 100 sludge juice for a jungle key in Odawa's shop. You can only find the Key Guardian structure with a bit of luck in the jungle, whereas you can find Odawa's shop by using the Wishing Compass in the jungle without a jungle key in your inventory. If you have a jungle key in your inventory, the compass will point to the jungle temple. The jungle temple parkour is probably one of the most annoying points of downtime in the entire Nucleus run. There is, however, a quicker solution. The first I heard of the armadillo cheese method was in Implodent's 1000 Nucleus run video that was released some time ago. It involves finding the exact location underneath the crystal, mounting the armadillo pet, and jumping to clip through the bedrock temple floor and grab the crystal. The only real skill requirement here is calculating the exact coordinates of the crystal. I'll be honest, when I did my Nucleus runs, I mostly guessed and found the location from trial and error, because who can be bothered to calculate coordinates? But if you take the right Key Guardian's coordinates, add or subtract the XYZ values on screen, you should be directly underneath it. You then create a cobble floor and platform, spawn the armadillo, and ride it onto the platform to reach the crystal. While doing runs, it is easiest to set up a pet rule for spawning the Dillo pet. I personally used the fishing rod, spawn Dillo with the exception of Dillo already being spawned, and fishing rod to spawn the mole pet with the exception of the mole already being spawned to easily flip through the mole pet and the Dillo pet. The final crystal, and in my opinion the most problematic, is the Topaz Crystal. This exists in Khazad-dûm, which is a location within the magma fields. You must defeat Baal, which is the boss, to be eligible to obtain the crystal. If you do not contribute to Baal's defeat, you are no longer able to access the crystal until the boss respawns and is then killed again, which can lead to unnecessary downtime. All you need to know about Baal is that his HP is hits-based. It does not matter how much damage you're doing, it is about the amount of total hits. So using a Terminator, which is a bow that has 3 arrows shot instead of 1, and using 3/4 or full Terra armor and gaining stacks to obtain extra arrows, or even using a bow with a duplex ultimate enchant will increase the amount of damage that you can do in less time. There have been a few ways to virtually insta-kill Baal that have been patched quickly by the admins, and there are none that I'm aware of that exist right now, so do check the comments or search YouTube if this downtime bothers you and you want to speed up the process. This marks the end of the basic tutorial for Nucleus runs, so let's launch into the more complicated topic of how to optimize your runs. The first thing I will say, and probably the most important, is to pick a good lobby. Often lobbies are missing one of the crystal structures due to a bug, or they spawn obnoxiously far away from the nucleus, or even just obnoxiously far away from each other. A good lobby can save a lot of time if you stack 50 or 100 runs in one go, so if you are taking these runs seriously, it is definitely worth considering. Before you do any pathing, please check the structures with a wishing compass, or occasionally Skytills will give you the structure's waypoint if another player has found it in the lobby already. The worst thing that can happen is you set up the whole lobby with bomb routes and everything, you finally get to that last crystal, and it doesn't exist because the structure didn't spawn due to a bug. It is worth having roughly a stack of wishing compasses just to check the structures in the lobbies. Number 2, pathing. Use bob-ombs to blow up large tunnels. Even at 400 speed, walking is significantly slower than teleporting, and you will not be able to teleport through a 2-block tunnel. So using bombs will lead to significantly faster travel between crystals and the nucleus. Number 3 is advanced preparation. Firstly, I would suggest that you should stack at least 10 runs in one go. If it's your first time doing it, maybe you can get away with 5, but ideally, if you're looking to take these runs seriously, somewhere between 25 to 50 in one go was my sweet spot, but it's really up to you what you would prefer to prepare. Next, I would say that you should share the burden of finding and setting up these pathways with other players. Although the drops and nucleus bundles are individual, the lobbies themselves are shared. So share the burden, and then everyone can benefit. For the Jade Crystal itself, every time you reach 4 unique tools, put those tools into a backpack so you can obtain another set of 4. For the Sapphire Crystal, purchase or otherwise grind the precursor apparatus in advance. For the Amber Crystal, you will need 1 goblin egg per run, so have those ready in advance as well. Although you can buy these eggs off the bazaar, it is pretty easy to acquire them through powder mining in the goblin holdout. You also get a 50% bonus chance to get a goblin egg if you have the goblin pet active while you do it. Amethyst Crystal, you only need 1 jungle key per run, so just have that amount of jungle keys. For Topaz, just make sure you have arrows, or at the very least, Jax as an Abiphone contact, so you can purchase arrows if you need to. Often when you're running the Crystal Nucleus for quite a long time, for example 25 or more runs in one go, it will occur that the lobby closes to any new entrants before you actually finish the runs. The reason this is important is it means you cannot warp out to pick up an item and then come back. So things like Abiphone contacts, or even having a booster cookie so you can access the bazaar while you're in the Crystal Hollows lobby is something to consider as well. The last section of this video is just a bunch of miscellaneous advice that I couldn't really fit into any other section. Firstly, runs don't require mining, so I preferred using Storm or Aurora armor so that I could teleport around with no mana issues. Next, if you don't already have auto pet rules, I understand that it could be expensive, but trust me, it will save a bit of time each run. So if you're planning to do a lot of runs, it is worth the investment, and I do recommend it. Next is quite an important thing, increasing the odds of you dropping items in the bundle. Although the alloy is no longer a time-based RNG, you can increase your drop chance in two ways. Firstly, if you have a mole pet equipped when you place the crystals, you will obtain one extra item drop in the loot bundle. Secondly, the high roller perk, I believe it is 5,000 diamond essence in the diamond essence shop, will also give you one additional item roll. The last piece of miscellaneous advice is to activate the mole perk. Although you are using bombs to blow up the pathways, some structures do regenerate a layer of hardstone around them, and you may need to mine a few blocks between runs. It's just nice to have for convenience. That brings us to the end. This video is the culmination of about 1,000 hours of research, live streams, skill issues, and my energy. So if you have made it this far and you have enjoyed the content, subscribing will bring me one step closer to the 30,000 minimum for YouTube rank on Hypixel. I was recently rejected by the admins despite tripling the live stream minimum requirements on TikTok Live. So your support on YouTube would really go a long way to helping me achieve that goal through my YouTube channel. If you're already subscribed, you're a legend. And don't forget to like, comment, and share so the algorithm shows this content to new viewers as well. That's all for now. If you'd like to say hey, I live stream on TikTok and YouTube pretty regularly, so feel free to drop in and have a chat. Until then, I'll catch you in the next video. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my future content. I'll see you in the next video.